Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Tuesday, January 29th, 2019. Tonight will be the last night that I don't have a screen up showing the chat while I'm doing the live stream. Tomorrow night, I'm going to have two monitors. And from this day forward, I'll be able to see what's going on in the chat as I do the presentation. That way I'll miss less of your guys' comments, and it'll make it a little bit more interactive. So figured out how to do that. I'm going to start that tomorrow night. Anyhow, again, it's Tuesday, January 29th. A lot of things happened on this day in history. So I thought we'd start here with this day in history. Then I can't wait to get to this story to you about how a retired couple cracked the lottery code using basic arithmetic, a lot like Gematria. Interesting story here. Other things to talk about: Stacey Abrams going to do the response to the State of the Union. Sadly, this is a sick joke, which we'll get to. Put out a video today on the hate crime of actor Jussie Smollett. Couple more details to add here in the nightly podcast. Also put out a video today on the death of James Ingram at age 66. Noticed a few more things. New information for the podcast. The FBI ended their investigation of the Las Vegas massacre, and it's not hard to see why they did it today. We'll get to that. The U.S. Senate working for Israel, but not the American people. What else is new? Just ahead. Roger Stone pleads not guilty. Parents who don't give their children vaccines getting shamed in the media. Finally put two and two together with that story. We'll come to that. And something's going on in Tempe, Arizona. Is anyone noticing how Tempe, Arizona is starting to make the rounds in the media for all sorts of things? That's where Arizona State University is. Last year, they had an Uber incident. Now they got a Lyft incident there. There's Tempe. I'm talking about Tempe more and more. So has me wondering what's going on in Tempe, Arizona, down on the 33rd parallel, just outside of Phoenix. The missing 3-year-old boy, Casey Hathaway, we talked about that story, news by the numbers. Now, apparently, he was kept safe by a bear for 3 days, and his favorite cartoon's about a bear. Get to that. And they got some new details in the Houston shooting as well as the Denver shooting of this past Sunday. So all things we'll be talking about ahead. But again, let's start with this day in history. On January 29th, it was the day in history that they had the first inductees to baseball's Hall of Fame as well as the Football Hall of Fame. And I'm going to have to do a little bit more digging for why baseball, but I definitely see the reason why for football. So we'll get to that. As we know, baseball and football, they're known to have the riddles tied together, just like how this past baseball season, we said in July, if the Red Sox make the World Series, look for them to win 4-1 in Game 5, 99 days before the Super Bowl to conclude the 99th season. You know, you get Boston and LA in the World Series, then you get Boston and LA in the Super Bowl. What do you know? On this day in history, King George III died at Windsor Castle. He was 81 years old, what we call the ritual number. Ritual equals 81 with the alphabetic order and the reverse alphabetic order. Look what else is 81, Windsor Castle. And couldn't help but notice that he died 127 days before his upcoming birthday that year. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is 127. The name George is 57, like Scottish Rite. You know, just like over here, George Washington, the Scottish Rite Freemason, inaugurated as president at age 57. But doubt that's a coincidence. You know, King James was a Scottish Rite Freemason. You know, the Scottish Rite's big in the royal family. Edgar Allan Poe, on this day in history, had The Raven published. We've talked about this before, actually. We talked about it this year in a football riddle. Drew Brees got a big The Raven riddle this NFL season. If you're following us with the sports decode, you probably heard about that. But anyhow, The Raven published on a date with 93 numerology. The Raven equals 93. Just using the alphabetic order. Simple arithmetic. Perfect. little reminder about history. We've talked about this a number of times before. Kansas became the 34th state on this day in history. It was the last state added to the nation before the Civil War. And the Civil War was caused supposedly by Lincoln being elected. And Lincoln was elected, or Lincoln took office, March 4th, a date that can be written 3/4, exactly 34 days later. And notice Lincoln is 34. You really got to read my book to appreciate the assassination of Lincoln, the play he was seeing at the time about a character named Honest Asa. The riddles are deep. So again, first inductee into the Baseball Hall of Fame on this day. In 1963, the first charter members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame were named in Canton, Ohio. Again, on the 29th day of the year, football 29, Ohio 29, the birthplace of American football. How perfect. Also, on that same day, the poet Robert Frost died at age 88. And looks like I forgot to post his birthday. His birthday was March 26th, so he died to span of 57 days from his birthday. Robert Frost is 57, Frost is 57, Scottish Rite's 57. Notice it's also 1 month and 27 days, like Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is 127. We just talked about this with King George. If you don't count the full span, it was 56 days, and poet's 56, and he died in the year 63. Poetry, 63. Robert Frost, very well-known poet. On this day in history in 1975, a bomb exploded inside the U.S. State Department in Washington, causing considerable damage, but injuring no one. The radical group Weather Underground claimed responsibility. Weather Underground, 221. U.S. State Department, 221. The Bavarian Illuminati, 221. What are the odds? What are the odds? And look at those three names in the reduction cipher as well. A lot of overlap there. The word weather alone is 109, so is military. 109 is the 29th prime. The Weather Underground, an attack on the 29th. No doubt the work of our own government. Again, to remind us why we need Big Brother to keep us safe from all these boogeymen out there. 1979, President Jimmy Carter formally welcomed Chinese Vice Premier Deng Xiaoping to the White House following the establishment of diplomatic relations. And again, New World Order, that's where we live. From Jimmy Carter's birthday to this day was 120 days later. Think about how Inauguration Day is January 20th. The word Illuminati is 120. We were just talking about the other day how the book about Baron Trump came out 120 years before Trump became president-elect. 1896 to 2016, 120 years. You got to ask, why did they move Inauguration Day to January 20th? Why couldn't it just stayed March 4th? There's a reason they did this. If you count the full span of days, it was 121 days from Jimmy Carter's birthday. And why does that matter? Vice Premier Deng Xiaoping, 121. Couldn't be any more perfect. Same things have been going on for decades. Rituals by the numbers. In 1984, President Ronald Reagan announced in a nationally broadcast message that he and Vice President George H.W. Bush would seek re-election in the fall. And remember, Ronald Reagan was the Hollywood actor, George H.W. Bush, part of the political power dynasty, former head of the CIA. And from that announcement to Bush's upcoming birthday that year was 135 days, like Central Intelligence Agency's 135. Recall what we saw in 2018. We saw the CIA get a new head, Gina Sherry Haspel, Gematria of 135, and she was nominated on May 13th, 13/5. She was confirmed May 17th, the 137th day of the year, where Washington, D.C. is 137. And that was 137 days from her birthday, which I'm just now noticing is the same birthday Jimmy Carter had. Again, mind control has that gematria of 137, and that's what the government is. That's what the CIA is. CIA ran MK Ultra, 137, the 33rd prime. So, Ronald Reagan, I mean, that's got to be one of the most interesting presidencies ever. The guy who made all the comments about how he wanted to shrink government so he could drown it in a bathtub, and then he made government bigger than it had ever been before. That's that Orwellian, agenda. Say one thing, do the opposite. And think about Orwell's book. It's called 1984. Ronald Reagan, HW, the team in 84. Don't forget United States of America's 84. So was Masonry, so was Jesuits, so was Zionism. Here's a good one. In 1998, a bomb rocked an abortion clinic in Birmingham, Alabama, killing security guard Robert Sanderson and critically injuring nurse Emily Lyons. The bomber, Eric Rudolph, was captured in May 2003 and is serving a life sentence. I'm sure there's a whole lot more if we look into his capture. I haven't done all that, but just look. The date of the bombing had 147 numerology. Birmingham equals 94. When you write out 94, it equals 147. Remember, we were talking about this with George Herbert Walker Bush and his coming death. And he ended up dying at 94, 147 days after George W. Bush's birthday. Prescott Bush once died on his 147th day of his age. Or no, I'm going to have to go back. Don't quote me. He either died on his 147th day of his age or 147 days from HW's birthday. It was one of the two. But notice abortion's also 94. So an abortion clinic gets bombed in Birmingham. When you write out 94, it's 147, 147 date numerology. We see these numbers paired together again and again in rituals. Here's one more example. Plus, look at the bomber's name, Eric Rudolph. Eric Rudolph, 129. What day was the bombing? January 29th, 1/29. Don't forget Freemason and conspiracy is 147. Sin in satanic gematria is 147. In 2002, in his first State of the Union address, President George W. Bush said terrorists were still threatening America, and he warned of an axis of evil consisting of North Korea, Iran, and Iraq. That was a date with 52 numerology. Terrorist equals 52, so does president, so does government. Do you remember the original definition of terrorism? Terrorism, a system of terror, government by intimidation. That's exactly what we have here in the United States of America. That's why they give us all this propaganda and fear so that we keep coming back to Big Brother to keep us safe. At least those of us with our eyes shut. Those of us who are gullible enough to not see through it. That speech also came 140 days after September 11th. Washington has the gematria of 140. Speech from Washington, George W. Bush. Don't forget George W., born on the 187th day of the year. George Washington equals 187, so does Washington, D.C. So a loaded date in history with news by the numbers. All right, let's fast forward to the present. This story was published last night, January 28th, 2019. Retired couple reveal how they won $26 million. Remember, dollar equals 26, bank 26, God 26, and God we trust. By using basic arithmetic to crack the code of state lotteries. And now Hollywood wants to tell their story. Retired Jerry and Marge Selby made a total of $26 million from state lotteries. I got to tell you, I'm thinking about putting it all down and just starting to focus on, okay, are they scripting the lottery this way too? I mean, we see how a lot of times they'll give us these big jackpot winners by the numbers. But is the riddle in the numbers for the actual winners? Is it there? Anyway, check this out. This story came yesterday, right? Yesterday had 68 date numerology. basic arithmetic equals 68 in our base cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. When you flip the alphabetic order around and use numerology, mathematics is 68. Sacred geometry is 68, just like basic arithmetic. Gematria means geometry and language, and it pays tribute to sacred geometry. And notice language, just with the alphabetic order, 68. The phrase crack the code has gematria 66, like math. Crack the code also has gematria of 96, like Freemason. Think about the Freemason logo, instruments of mathematics around a capital G. Instruments of geometry, to be more specific, geometry, gematria, geometry and language. Gematria is a Masonic language. Look at lottery, 74, like Masonic, like gematria, like English, like London. The story came out of the UK. I noticed the woman's name, Marge Selby, has that oh so familiar 47 in the most pure cipher. Marge is also 26, like they won 26 million. Her name more interesting than the man's name. The lottery game that they made their money from was called Windfall. And notice Windfall is 112 and 40. Mathematics is 112 and 40. And I always loved that mathematics is 112. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, wow, 1 + 1 is 2. That can't be an accident. This says something here. He cracked the roll down. He figured out this thing. If you read the story, it is that he realized if he buy $1,000 worth of tickets and use a method to the $1,000 worth of tickets he'd buy, he'd win at least 1,900. And sometimes he'd hit a bigger pot and win a lot more. But for every 1,000 he bought, as long as he used the system, he'd win at least 1,900. So worst case scenario, he's only going to make $900 for putting in all the work. And then eventually they realized that they might as well just start spending huge and making a bigger profit. So then eventually they built up to 26 million. But that method, the roll down, also has the 40, like Windfall, like mathematics. And again, the whole story is they used, simple arithmetic to crack the code. Roll down, also 113 and 103, like Scottish. And I've talked about this number showing up in the lottery many times. I think Derek on his channel that's still up has an awesome video on the lottery and 113. So Derek, Gematrinator 85, I'm pretty sure that video is still there. Derek's lost one channel too. It could have been on his old channel, but I think it's on the one that's still up. So check out this article. The couple was in Michigan, even though the story comes out of the UK. Supposedly Hollywood's going to make a movie about this. So keep your eyes peeled. Where is it? Maybe I forgot to copy that paragraph. Ooh. Shoot. There was something about 6 years. Maybe it took them 6 years to amass 26 million. And remember how those numbers go together. In the 26th verse of the Bible, mankind's made in the 6th day. If you write out 6th as a word, it equals 26. But you can see where they were going with the encoding of the story. And perhaps there is a way to unlock the lottery. That would finally get people to wake up to Gematria. In the time I've been doing this, that's been the most left comment. Hey, can you use this to win the lottery? You can use it to win at sports gambling. I know that. Perhaps the lottery too. So Stacey Abrams today announced to give the Democratic response to the State of the Union that's now been moved to February 5th. As we covered, Trump equals 25, President 52. Thus why Trump had the State of the Union moved to this date. But now look at how Stacey Abrams fits into this. It's just so sick. So Stacey Abrams is a black woman. No, she's 45 years old right now. She's going to address number 45. Her birthday is December 9th, 12/9. Today's 1/29. America in Jewish gematria equals 129. Anyhow, from her birthday to the State of the Union, when she'll give the response, will be her 59th day of her age. And what do we know about that? Negro, slave, Rasta blues, all Gematria 59. And then this news about her being the person to respond comes today, this date with a life lesson number of 42. And they always do this, bring the 42 and the 59 together. You know, classic examples, Rodney King, his name equals 59, his birthday is April 2nd. So many examples of 59 and 42, how they come together. And again, the N-word's 42, Black History Month, February is 42. Don't forget February, the awkward month, ends on the 59th day of the year, February 28th, except for in leap years. Slavery also 42, the name Jackie 42, as in Jackie Robinson number 42, plus the big long list that's in chapter 18 of the book. It's just so sick, though. And if you missed my work on Stacey Abrams and the election in Georgia, it's amazing just how many ways her name overlaps with Georgia, as well as the person she ran against, as well as the person who held the seat before her. Shows you all these politicians, black and white, born and bred to be. So also on this date with the 42 numerology, we get a story of a hate crime against an actor, Jussie Smollett, which is just quite the name, Jussie Smollett. Supposedly attacked by a white person wearing a MAGA hat. You know, the Donald Trump red hat, Make America Great Again. So look at this. Hate crime 46, Smollett 46, Jussie Smollett 199, the 46th crime, Jussie Smollett also 46. Again, in our most pure cipher, the 46 overlap. And this happened in Chicago, 46. Again, for all the people out there who say, you know, because I hear this one so often, Zach, I'm trying to wake up my wife or my family, and they're saying, oh, you know, there's just too many ciphers. But I mean, you know, every day I give you guys good examples of how the ciphers overlap. And I'll always say the same thing. You really just need the alphabetic order and alphabetic order with rules of numerology to see how it comes together. But when you have the reverse, you see even more. You know, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have known that Smollett in reverse was 46, but we had already got the point with the story and then coming on the 42 date. But again, just the reverse, it just shows you just how much more deeply encoded it is. And again, the date with the 42 numerology, 42 coded all over Black history, bus, Tuskegee, you know, so many things. Again, sitcom Martin equals 42. We lived in apartment 42. Notice that from his birthday to today is his 223rd day of his age. It's also 7 months and 9 days. If you write out the synagogue of Satan, it equals 223. And if you do it with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, it's 79. And TMZ put up this story. Jussie Smollett tells cops attackers shouted mega country. Empire calls in armed security. Empire has a lot of interesting gematria, including 66. And in a moment, we're going to talk about the parallels between this story and the death Mr. Ingram at age 66. Empire also has gematria of 33, like race war, 96 like Freemason, 39 like Masonry. There's a lot of things coded in Empire, but this phrase right here, mega country, look at this. Mega country and Donald Trump, look. Could it be any more perfect? The N-word also has gematria of 60. Black man equals 159, just for the record. But this perfect overlap with Donald Trump. And I still remember the day Trump was on the campaign trail, and there was the story about how there was a black man at his rally, and he shouted out something, and he got beat up in the crowd, and then Donald Trump hollered back that he deserved it. You know, and that came in the mix of Trump saying, you know, like all the Mexicans are doing the raping and, you know, these things. This is how the populace gets divided and polarized and programmed and filled with hate. And if you listen to my radio show on TFR, you'll hear the guy who does the show before me. He'll always be bringing up, Oh, yeah, these loony liberals will say Trump's a racist. It's just such a bunch of BS. Look, Trump's an actor. He's a puppet. I don't even know if he's really a racist person. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. But the point is, he puts out this rhetoric that's clearly meant to inspire, hatred and division. And I know sometimes he'll come in and he'll go and he'll say, oh, I mean, I've heard him say before too, oh, I love all Mexican people. It's just like, come on, man. You're the same guy who said Mexicans are doing all the raping. It can't be both. But this headline, it just plays into the whole agenda. So, and this comes on the back of the Catholic kids in the mega hats at the Native rally, and then they end up factoring in the story about the Hebrew Israelites. The Hebrew Israelites in the background saying, those are some future school shooters. Playing into another narrative. It's like, look at how the media does it. They got the racial division. They got to have the rhetoric about the school shootings. It's just like all the layers of programming, all the things that we're experiencing as a society. Oh, man. Can we make it end? That is the goal. And I guess Apple, what was the biggest company in the world not that long ago, just keeps tanking further and further. Now Microsoft, Google at the top. And I hope you're staying warm for all the people out there experiencing the cold. All right, so I put out a video on this. I noticed a few more things. James Ingram, entertainer, dead just before the Grammys. My man Darrell in Houston, who used to work for Magic 102. Poor Darrell, now that he knows Gematria, he knows how sick it is that Magic is 102 in Houston. Slavery equals 102. The N-word also has Gematria of 102. Think about Magic Johnson, the way he was used with the HIV story. HIV's 42, like the N-word as well. Anyway, Darrell, he called me up today. He's like, can you believe it? Darrell had a feeling we'd see a black celebrity death right about this time on the date that fit. And he's not surprised as this man. And Darrell's all shook up because he got to meet this man in studio a number of times. But yeah, I wish everyone out there was as passionate as Darrell about spreading this word. And a lot of people who saw this video I put up, all sorts of attacks. Let the man rest in peace. It's like, okay, this isn't about, insulting him. This is about spreading awareness about how people are being ritualistically murdered. And he might very well have had brain cancer, but hey, we live in a world where Hugo Chavez came out a decade ago and said, people, you need to investigate. There's cancer weapons. They're making people sick. I mean, who would doubt it? It was in the 70s that the CIA revealed they had a heart attack gun. There's stuff in this world that's meant to hurt people. I don't know how anyone can listen to that song Murder by Numbers from 83 and just say, oh, well, it must just all be a bunch of coincidence. Anyhow, here's this black man. He's dead on this date with 42 numerology. Grammy Awards equals 181. 181, the 42nd prime. He's dead just before the Grammys. Remember, the beast rules for 42 months in Revelation. 42, this biblical number. The New Testament starts with the 42 generations to Jesus. This man got his music career going with a group called Revelation Funk. The beast rules for 42 months in Revelation. Revelation's the 66th book of the Bible. He's dead at 66. And when I saw that he was dead at 66 and I saw his birthday, when I saw his birthday was February 16th, I just knew right away. I was like, oh my God, this guy's death is connected to the Black Panther film, which is winning all sorts of awards right now. I've been talking about these riddles with Black Panther and Cam Newton in this film in 66 all NFL season, which most people don't know about unless they're on Patreon doing the football decodes each week. But this has been a big theme. And I put out some other videos this year on this. The Black Panther Party established in 66. When you add 1 through 11 together, it equals 66. That matters because black in the most pure cipher is 11. Black is also 29, and this man's dead on the 29th of the month. And the numerology of 29 is 2 plus 9 is 11. And supposedly he's dead from brain cancer, which equals 209, which also breaks down to 11. Brain cancer, for the record, equals 74, just like Black Panther Party. And what's the numerology of 74? 7 plus 4 is 11. So again, his birthday was the same day that the Black Panther film released. And we'll get to the point here. What else is important is his music career began in 73, which means it's 46 years later, 2019. And what do we know about 73 and 46? They're sacrifice numbers. We just talked about this with the dead Oakland Raider yesterday. Dead at 73 on the date with 46 numerology. Also, again, dead just before the Grammy Awards. Grammy Awards also has the Gematria 73. And again, this is why you need the 4-base ciphers to see the layers in the riddles. I mean, you can still explain it without, but when you have these 4 ciphers, you just really connect a lot more dots. You see the picture a lot more clearly. And for the record, in Catholic Bibles, Revelation is the 73rd book of the Bible. There's 7 more books in the Catholic Bible. Notice he had one of his biggest songs in 83. That probably didn't help the cause. Murder 83, Murder by Numbers came out that year. So anyhow, from his birthday to his death, his 347th day of his age, 347 days after his birthday, which happens to be the 69th prime number. Black Panther equals 69, and today has 69 date numerology. The name James Ingram in the most pure cipher is 47. The word beast equals 47. In the video that I put out earlier today, I pointed out that February 16th is the 47th day of the year. Beast equals 47. The number of the beast is 666. When you multiply 6 times 6 times 6, it equals 216. Again, if you've never seen that film Pi, that's the number he chases throughout the movie, 216. But beast, 47. The number of the beast, 666. Black Panther in Sumerian Gematria equals 666. And again, Revelation 13:18 is about calculating the number of the beast. Number of the beast equals 66. Number of a man equals 66. Last year, January 3rd, 18. And don't worry, this story is in my upcoming book. It's a story that everyone has to remember. Last year, there was the story about the Black Panther killing a man in a zoo on 1/3/18, like Revelation 13:18 is about 666 and Black Panther 666. And when we covered that story last year, we talked about how that was synced up with the release of the movie Black Panther, which wasn't quite out yet at the time. Those stories were a span of 45 days apart, and Holy Bible's 45. Biblical riddles, day after day. Notice Ingram's 35. The word panther alone's 35. He was born on a date with a life lesson number of 35. Rhythm and blues equals 62, like sacrifice. Ingram, 62, great rhythm and blues singer. You know. So RIP to him. The thing I always wonder about is, will I be an old man someday and still be decoding and showing the same thing for 50 years straight? Or is this eventually going to catch on with enough people that something's done about this? Because I mean, really, the only thing that can really change, we're getting a phone call right now. Let me take this call in case they're trying to call into the live show. Caller?
Yeah.
Are you calling in for the live stream?
Yeah, I wanted to mention something about what you were talking about with the James Ingram. Is that right?
Yeah.
You were talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets today. You had picked them
Right.
I don't know if this is any connection with this, but he was he was born in Ohio, right? So as soon as I saw that, I looked up, the numbers on that game tonight, and he was born in Ohio. He died. His upcoming birthday was 18 days, and the Blue Jackets got their 18th loss tonight, and the other team got their 18th win. One stayed on 18, and one got the 18th loss.
Interesting.
And it was you said it was the 119th NHL game, and
119th day of the season. 119th day of the season.
I'm sorry, 119th day of the season, and James Ingram in the Jewish ordinal is 119, and or 50. One of the Jewish ciphers was 119, and also it equals 59, and the Blue Jackets had 59 points coming into the game. But I don't know why I just connected it to that. I mean, is there anything there, or is that just purely coincidence, you think?
Well, it could be. 18 factors into 6 plus 6 plus 6. I mean, it is a web of riddles. I'll have to take a closer look at it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks, man. All right. So next story up. The FBI has ended its investigation into the Las Vegas massacre and said Stephen Paddock had no motive to do what he did. So today has this 69 date numerology. Stephen Paddock equals 69. And the thing that's interesting about the name Paddock is it is a small field or enclosure where horses are kept or exercised. The verb is to keep or enclose a horse in a paddock. And think about the shooting in Vegas. It was a country western concert full of cowboys, horses. This investigation was closed on the 29th. Horse 29, Paddock. Stephen Paddock had no motive. And I mean, we already knew that Stephen Paddock's a patsy, and this is a federal government operation. But not hard to see why they wrapped it up today. We will likely never know why Stephen Paddock shot into a crowd of concertgoers, killing 58 people in the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. 58. Senate advances pro-Israel bill that imposes sanctions on U.S. businesses that boycott Israel. I put out a short video on this earlier today. Again, just in case you missed it. This happened yesterday, January 28th. Notice the bill was passed 74-19, meaning 7 senators abstained and not by accident. Pro-Israel bill, Jewish. Remember, in Gematria, Lucifer, Jewish, Masonic, occult, English, Gematria, they all sum to 74. They're all 74. And 74-19, 93 total votes. Remember, everything in the history of Israel is 93. The nation of Israel was drawn up on 9-3 in the year 47, September 3rd, 9-3. Saturn, 93. Knesset, 93. That's Israel's Congress. Israel moved the capital to Jerusalem on a date with 93 numerology. Big numbers in the history of Israel. So, just a reminder who our Congress really works for, who our Senate really works for, who our government really works for. This was done on the 28th, Israel 28. January 28th, 2019 was also a date with 48 numerology. The Synagogue of Satan 223, the 48th prime. Israel established in 48. On May 14th, a date that can be written 14/5 like Catholic. Israel and the Vatican, strong relations. Again, just a reminder, Donald Trump was in Jerusalem for Jerusalem Day, the day before he traveled to the Vatican. Picture I'll never forget. Look at everybody but Trump. It's just the weirdest picture. Oh my goodness. And Regarding Israel and the Vatican and doing things by the numbers, they set up embassies in their respective territories on January 19th, 94, after establishing relations supposedly in 93, as if they didn't already have them. But 93, and then January 19th at the beginning of 94, 1/19, All-Seeing Eye 119, Star of David, Orthodox, Vatican, Francis. Number that breaks down to 11 in numerology, the master number. I think tomorrow I'm going to call Marco Rubio's office. Tomorrow they're going to officially pass this bill. Well, we'll see. Likely they will. And I mean, it's just such a joke. It's such a joke, but it's a reminder of where we really live. Things become clearer and clearer each day, even to the sleeping masses. So Roger Stone, he pled not guilty today. And last Friday, when I covered, I believe it was Friday, last Friday, it could have been Thursday, it was one of those days. If you watch the podcast, I was talking about how it was interesting that Roger Stone and Jerome Corsi were the big news story the same day the migrant caravan arrived at the border, the U.S. border. And then Roger Stone was back in the news by the numbers the same day the government shutdown was coming to a conclusion over the dispute about the border and the wall. And you know, I was showing all the numbers and how it all lined up and the riddles there with the border. And I didn't just put the obvious together. You know, the riddle with the wall and the border and a guy named Stone, you know, Stone Wall. It's just, you know, everything they do is a game and a mocking. It's just like the comb over versus James Comey, you know, and everything else they give us. Our first black president, and then our first orange president. Anyhow, he pled not guilty today. The 29th Trump does have the Gematria 29. Today is Roger Stone's 156th day of his age. He's 66 years old. When you write out 33, it has that Gematria of 156 and 66. Of course, 33 is the big federal number, big masonry number. And then again, today also has the 69 date numerology. Roger Jason Stone, 69. How perfect. Roger Jason Stone, 84. Obstruction of justice, 84. False statements, 44. Not guilty, 44. So we'll see what goes on. Don't forget Trump's number 45, but he's only the 44th person to be president. Today, CNN had this top article throughout most of the morning. Some states allow parents to get out of vaccinations. Then this happens. And today has the 42 date numerology. Vaccine equals 42. The national emergency right now is with measles in Washington, the 42nd state. Don't forget Freemason equals 42. Washington named after the Freemason George Washington. And let me just read this to you. 2 states experiencing a measles outbreak, Washington and Oregon. Remember, Oregon equals 74 like measles. When you write out 42, it equals 74. Washington and Oregon allow parents to opt out of vaccines simply because they want to. And while they hate to say I told you so, pediatricians, well, told them so. I've been saying now for the last couple of years, it's only a matter of time before we see a horrific measles outbreak in the Pacific Northwest, said Dr. Peter Hopes, co-director of the Texas Children's Hospital Center for Vaccine Development. All states require immunizations for children to attend school. 47 states, emphasis on 47, all but California, Mississippi, and West Virginia allow parents to opt out of vaccines if they have religious beliefs against immunizations, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures. Think about how Christian equals 47. Think of Christian Scientists. If you're not familiar with Christian Scientists, they don't use any medication. And again, if we're going to live in a free society, then that's the way it should be. I mean, people should be able to opt out. And measles isn't really a big deal. You get the measles, you got them for a week. It's the big deal. Among those 47 states, 18 states also allow parents, and just for the record, if you're not familiar, if you get measles one time, you never get them again. It's like chickenpox. Well, some people will get it like a second time. It's really rare, but it's not like it's a death sentence. Among those 47 states, 18 states also allow parents to opt out of vaccines if they have personal, moral, or philosophical beliefs against immunizations. Oregon and Washington are among these states that allow for personal belief exemptions. The other 16 are Arizona, Arkansas, Colorado, Idaho, Louisiana, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Texas, Utah, Wisconsin, and Vermont. So, I mean, you just see the numbers that they just, I mean, again and again, it's like everything is a numerical ritual. Everything is symbolic. And I mean, what's the bigger scare when it comes to vaccines? See, that's the thing, that science and the people who are asleep, they don't question anything, but we're seeing all these real problems developing in infant and child populations that weren't there a decade, 2 decades ago, you know. And again, these new problems that are emerging and seemingly out of the blue, it can only be from a number of things. Is it the chemicals in our environment? Is it the chemicals in our food? Is it the new vaccines? These things are a lot more problematic than the measles. Look at what number they have in this paragraph, 147. When you write out 47th, it's 147. Jacob dies at 147. In Genesis 47, Jacob becomes Israel. Israel recognized as a nation by the United Nations on 47. I'm not saying that's related here, but just again and again, the same numbers reported and coded, the rituals surrounding. All right, another story. 39-year-old pregnant woman driving for Lyft reportedly killed by her younger passenger, a 20-year-old. Difference of 19 years. Arizona equals 39. But as soon as I saw this story, it reminded me that earlier this year, or I guess it was last year now, March 19th, 2018, it was right after I started driving for Uber and Lyft myself. And Tempe, Arizona had the story of the self-driven Uber car run over a woman in the crosswalk. March 19th, the 19th. Uber equals 19. But that was in Tempe, Arizona, just like this story. And we just covered the story about the police officer shooting the teenager with a toy gun. Story by the numbers. There's been a number of other stories just in recent months that keep popping up in Tempe, Arizona. And it just got me wondering, why is Tempe getting talked about so much all of a sudden? Again, it's a college town. Arizona State University is there. And things that jump out in the coding of this story. The man who killed her, his name's Fabian Durazo. His name equals 118. Pretty exotic name. As we know, 118 is connected to death. Death's 118. Her initials, KH. K is the 11th letter. H is the 8th. KH, 11-8. Tempe has the Gematria 59. So does Lyft passenger. Killing Jewish Gematria is 59. Their combined ages are 59, 39, and 20. The story is... this happened Sunday, which was January 27th. That was a date with 47 and 67 numerology. Lyft passenger also has Gematria 67, the 19th prime. Again, a difference of 19 years between them, 39 and 20. The last story having to do with a rideshare company was on the 19th. So, I don't know. Looks like more news by the numbers. Just got me wondering, why are they using Tempe so much? Tempe 2 rideshare stories. What's it about? This story is back with a new twist. We covered this last week. Casey Lynn Hathaway found alive, 3-year-old boy. And this came out of Craven County, CC 33. Hathaway equals 33. His shirt said Ladies Man. Ladies Man 33. Masonry, secrecy, order, police, federal, all 33. The story came from the FBI. The local police. The date had 64 numerology, Craven County 64. We pointed out how it was January 24th, 24/1, like 241, the 53rd prime, Casey 53, Craven County 53. And regarding the 53, we've been talking about the bear themes all year with Super Bowl. Oh, shoot. I just closed it. Anyway, we've been talking about the bear themes with, maybe I can pull it back up here. Good, I can. Okay. We've been talking about the bear themes with Super Bowl 53 all year. Tom Brady saw a bear in the Montana woods in the offseason. Now he's facing Jared Goff, the cow bear who throws to the receiver, Robert Woods. We just saw the death of the college football player who played for the Montana Grizzlies. Dead in Missoula. Missoula equals 53. Bear has that gematria of 26, like how the AFC just won with 26 points. You know, in the same football stadium where the Patriots and Rams will be playing. Alabama beat Georgia not long ago in the college championship. Nick Saban tied Bear Bryant's record. You know, Nick Saban and Belichick used to coach together. But Bear has the gematria of 26. So does Bryant. When Alabama won, they won with 26 points. This year, the AFC has a chance at number 26. Notice how Bear and Casey, the name of the boy, also overlap 17. This is a rematch of the Super Bowl from 17 years earlier where the Rams lost with 17 points. It's the Patriots' 59th season, the 17th prime. But the story is the boy was in the woods for days with a bear. And year after year, we see these stories that are ridiculous, that are themed with the world of sports and the ongoing riddles. Notice this language right here. The child was found alive 2 days later, about 40 to 50 yards into the woods. 40 to 50 yards, huh? Sounds like football terminology. So they said the boy liked the cartoon Masha and the Bear, which equals 57. Remember when you write out 57 as a word, it sums to 131, like championship, like Super Bowl. Don't forget the Rams are in it. Rams equals 57. They just advanced to the Super Bowl with a 57-yard field goal. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Another story, there was a shooting in Denver over the weekend, and they came out and the suspect accused of shooting and injuring 2 Denver police officers died at the hospital on Monday, the Denver Police Department said. So this was yesterday he died, the same day as the Houston shooting. And look, yesterday had the 68 date numerology, Denver 68. They said the shooting was at 11:40 on Sunday, 11:40 on Inca Street. 114. A little too perfect. Sunday had the date with the 47 numerology, policeman and cop 47 to shoot out with the cops. I like that YouTube channel, Meg Truth. He doesn't use gematria, but he just breaks down the BS just with what they put on the screen. You should check out Meg Truth's video on this subject. And with regards to the Houston shooting, which we covered yesterday, they now gave us the shooters. Remember, this was a A great riddle synced up with the establishment of Houston. But they gave us these shooters. They're a married couple. These are their images. They look like images from decades and decades ago. I guess. Anyway, they said that the shooters are a married couple, 58 years old and 59 years old. And yesterday this had Freemasonry etched all over it. Freemasonry 58 and 59, and in Hebrew and in English, Freemasonry is 59. What do you know? They give out the names of the or the ages of the police officers. Of course, one of them had to be 33 years old. So if you had any doubts about the Freemasonry encoding in the shooting from a day prior, have no doubt with today's news update. And keep in mind, today has the 42 date numerology, again, Freemason 42. So those were the things I wanted to present today. Actually, I just thought about something that I meant to cover yesterday that I forgot to. A lot of things to cover. Last Friday, I believe it was, we talked about, let me find this real quick. If anybody wants to phone in, you're more than welcome to while I'm digging up this article. Last week, we talked about how XXX Tentacion, how his mother wanted his BMW back that he was reportedly murdered in, and how that was seemingly a ritual paying tribute to the Bavarian Illuminati and Bavarian Motor Works. And then right after that, there was a story about how his son was born from his girlfriend. And I just want you to see how this all goes together. So there's the story about the mom. I didn't realize how many videos or posts I'd done on this guy since it happened. By the way, there's another rapper out here with a cross on his face. This isn't what I meant to show you. I guess his name's Trippie Redd. His birth name's Michael Lamar White IV. He's got the cross on the face, growing trend with these rappers. And his full name has that Gematria 93, like crucifix, like God's son, like Nazareth. But hold on. Here it is, the Sunborn. So real quick, the mom, in case you missed this, she wanted his car back. And from the date of the killing, by the way, this Trippie Redd rapper, his birthday is June 18th, you know? Anyway, from the killing date, June 18th, to the day the mom wanted the car back, 221 days later, the Bavarian Illuminati 221. We talked about this with the Weather Underground at the beginning of this podcast. And his car was a BMW, which stands for Bavarian Motor Works, not far off from Bavarian Illuminati. The date she wanted it back was January 25th, 25/1, Bavarian Motor Works 251. The car from the murder scene, January 25th can be written 1/25, murder scene 125. The mother's name is also Cleopatra Bernard 153, like the Illuminati. Go figure. But then, right after that, there's a story about how his son's born to the girlfriend. And the girlfriend's name is Genesis Sanchez. Genesis, biblical, crosses, you know. Anyhow, look at what the girlfriend's name equals in Gematria. Genesis Sanchez, 221. And from the date of death to the birth of the child was a span of 223 days. Let me take this call from Vegas. Hey, caller, can you mute the video in the background? Caller? Vegas?
What's up, Zach? It's Rob. I'm calling you back. Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
Hey, I got a question real quick, and I think it kind of relates to something else later, but you mentioned master numbers earlier, or yesterday, and master numbers being 11. Do you think that plays in with Belichick being 66 going to the Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll let you get back to it. I just needed to hear something real quick on that.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Thanks, man.
Okay. So the day this child was born was a date with a life lesson number of 39 and the father's surname Onfroy 39. So good day for the child to be born. And his first name has this Gaikumi. They said this was a word that Mr. XXX made up, but look at the Gematria. I mean, just a reminder, you do not want to work for the people who control the entertainment industry. This stuff is just sick. It's murder. It's mocking. And again, it's a reminder that the people in the world of entertainment, it often seems that they're born into this network, you know. So if anybody else wants to call in tonight, 509-731-0567. If not, we can call it a night. We went overtime last night. We're right about the 1 hour mark. Let me come say hello to the chat real quick. I'll do a final score prediction on the Super Bowl Friday night. Friday night I'll do one of those. All right, you guys, we can wrap it up tonight. We went overtime last night. Be back tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m., 10 Eastern. We'll always go at least an hour. Appreciate everyone signing up and being here. Hopefully we can get a bigger audience in time. Love to see an army of people at the $1 tier. I really do want to drop down the tier price to $1 for everybody. And I'm going to do it when we get the numbers. But thank you for all of you who have signed up and are here tonight. Eventually, this knowledge is going to get to where it needs to be. Jen says Vegas will win a lot of money if Rams win. I don't know if that's true, Jen, because the most futures were put on the Rams to win the Super Bowl. So I think a lot of people will be very rich if the Rams win the Super Bowl. There'll be a lot of big winners. All right, you guys, have a great evening. I see some people need some wrenches. Hold on, let me give out some wrenches before we go. Remember, when you have your wrench, don't ban anybody. But when you have a wrench, what it allows you to do is share links in the chat if you got some good information to share. So, looks like Rob needs a wrench. All right. I think I got everybody who needed a wrench. Oh, Alfonso needs a wrench. All right, I think I got everybody. Oh, Ken B needs a wrench. All right, looks like we're covered. Oh, C Hands needs a wrench. What's up, man? C Hands, looks like you got the Google Chrome and it's working. I'm glad to see you here, man. All right, you guys. Be back tomorrow, same time. Thank you again. Have a great evening. Till next time.